Slendytubbies is a horror parody of Slender Man. I know, shocking. It was created by ZeoWorks and released around the time Let's Plays were huge. This means people like Markiplier played it. This game blew up and now lots of people know the iconic Tinky Winky scream. But what is this game anyway? Well, since it's a Slender parody, the game follows the Slender gameplay loop. It revolves around the player trying to collect a certain amount of Tubby custard before the monster gets them. Monster is usually one of the four main teletubbies from Teletubbies. And as more and more games were released, the game shifted from a bad Slender parody to a fully fledged game with a story.
What? Oh, I did a sweet flip!
That means goofy looking Tinky Winky has some new lore. But that's not what we're looking at today. Instead, I want to look at the Roblox Slendytubbies games that were made by fans of the series. But enough wasting time. Let's just get into the first game and play it. The first game we'll be looking at is Slendytubbies vs. Redux. The game is a mixture of both Slendytubbies 2 and Slendytubbies 3. It is a multiplayer game where players can choose between monsters or survivors, kinda like Dead by Daylight. As survivors, you must collect custards just like the original game, but this time you have to deal with multiple threats chasing you. To counteract against the monsters, you can use player abilities like flashing your light. Survivors are faster than monsters and can jump a lot higher. This means you can evade enemies a whole lot easier compared to the original Slendytubbies. But the monsters also have some abilities at their disposal. Each power is unique to each character. For example, Tinky Winky can set up a little sphere and TP back to it at any point. This can be used to surprise enemies and damage them quickly. The more custards you collect or the more kills you get rewards you with points you can use in the shop. The shop has a number of cosmetics that you can equip to the Guardian. But that's basically the entire gameplay loop. There aren't a whole lot of maps to play, so I got pretty bored while playing. I couldn't imagine grinding this game to 5,000 custards, but aside from the gameplay, this game looks exactly like Slendytubbies 2. The models are faithful and don't look like they were made in Roblox. It almost looks like the game was just ported into Roblox. But they did a pretty good job with the map design and the character models, especially the monsters. I was expecting them to look like bad Roblox models, but I was pleasantly surprised. Aside from that, the game is fun but lacks replay value. Maybe adding more maps or adding game modes like Infection or Survival from Slendytubbies 3 will fix this issue, but who knows. Hell, adding a progression system is also a good idea. The game is still being updated, and as the video progresses, you'll start to realize that that's not a common theme. But I'll rate this game a solid 8 out of 10. It's definitely not a bad game at all. In my opinion, it's pretty great. But like I said earlier, it lacks replay value. So that should be the devs' #1 priority going forward. But let's move on. The next game we'll be looking at is Slendytubbies 2D Reincarnation. This is a port of Slendytubbies 2D, and at first glance it looks really promising, but it has some major flaws that we'll get into later. For now, let's talk about the stuff it does well. The 2D art style is identical to the one in Slendytubbies 2D. They did a pretty good job with porting it to Roblox. They also added all the new content from the Slendytubbies 3 update. If you don't know, Slendytubbies 2D got updated after the third game was released. This update added new maps, and these maps appear inside this Roblox game. But aside from these things, that's it for the pros. There's a lot of cons, so let's just get into it. First of all, the menu for this game just looks really ugly. The colors blend together and everything is just way too bright. When you go to customize your character, the color slider will sometimes break for no reason. To fix it, just reopen the menu. When you get into the actual game, you'll start to see issues right away. First of all, Roblox does not work with the animations being used. They're constantly meshing into each other, and sometimes the run and walk animations will replace one another. But I do believe this is more of a Roblox issue. Since there's only 4 directional sprites, the game will blend them together if you're going in a zigzag or something, but that can most likely be fixed. But what also needs to be fixed badly is the enemy AI. The enemies will get stuck on walls all the time. I was able to complete most maps without any issue. And speaking of maps, what the hell happened to some of them? Some maps look super blurry, almost as if they were just stretched PNGs. There are some other issues, but I don't want to yap about this game all day. I'd rate it a 5 or 6 out of 10. But with that, let's just move on. The next game on the list is Slendytubbies Classic. Yep, you heard that right. Someone ported the original Slendytubbies game to Roblox almost perfectly. There's 3 different day cycles you can choose from, just like the original game. And you still have to collect 10 custards. There's single player and co-op multiplayer modes, but no versus just yet. Just like the original game, you have to run away from Tinky Winky and find some goofy custards. Some of the stuff had to be censored. For example, Poe chilling on the tree was removed, but a ton of stuff was kept in. The Lala jump scare and mountain speaker Easter egg are still in the game. There are some issues that are so minor they don't even need to be mentioned. But what I will mention is that this game needs to add the versus mode. There's almost zero replayability aside from screwing around with friends, hence why this section of the video is so short. There's nothing to talk about. For what it is, this game is fine. It does what it has to do and does it well, but I don't see myself returning to this game to play again. So my final rating is probably a 6 or 7 out of 10. This game isn't meant to be amazing, it's just meant to be a port. So they did a good job at that, but I can't rate this game any higher. So let's just move on. The next game we'll be looking at is
Teletubby.
Sorry about that. The final game we'll be looking at is Tubby. This game is more of a piggy Teletubby clone, but it's so bad I just need to talk about it. Also because my entire existence is piggy at this point. But enough yapping. Tubby opens with a very familiar title screen. When you click play, you're greeted with 2 awesome maps. One being a custard factory and the other being a barn. The first map makes sense, but why the hell is my boy Tinky Winky at a barn? Both maps are horrible, so there's no need to go into a thorough analysis into each of them. The gameplay of this game is like Piggy. Find items to open doors or vaults, some items can be used to stun the Tubby, or they just do absolutely nothing. But your main goal is to escape, which I never ended up doing because I didn't care enough. Tubby will follow you around and try to get you. He's surprisingly fast and super annoying, so if you stop even a second, Tinky Winky will clip farm your death. While you explore, you could find Tubby coins that can be used to buy epic and radical skins in the shop. And that is the only cool thing about this game. Everything is either bad or stolen, or just a mixture of the two. Hell, even the coin idea was probably stolen from somewhere else. But this game was last updated in 2020 according to the menu description, so is there even a point to giving any feedback? This game is like a 2 out of 10, let's just move on. Slendytubbies and Roblox are two things that are odd when they mix. But I surprisingly had some fun checking these games out. You know, aside from Tubby. But let's just forget that game's existence. It'll be better for our sanity. So if you guys have any more games for me to check out, let me know. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one.